Views and opinions expressed by this program's hosts, guests, listeners, and viewers are solely the views and opinions of the original source who expresses them. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of TV5 Network Incorporated, its subsidiaries and affiliates, and their respective stockholders, directors, officers, and employees.
Sounding off from Los Angeles, the undisputed king of podcasting, who's all about the good times, Mo Twister. Representing New York City, a social media monster and co-creator of the Not Bill Walton Twitter feed, Chris Savage. All the way from Sydney, Australia, a basketball media veteran and unapologetic cultural critic, Bradford Graham. Holding it down from Manila, a seasoned sportscaster with the studio skills to pay the bills, Gino Rufino. This is Full Court Report.
Welcome to the Full Court Report. It is a Sunday night here in the U.S., and we are back for another brand new episode. My name is Mo in Las Vegas, and to my left here is a special guest that we've had on the show before. He's subbing in for Brad, who's not here, who's in New York City. Please welcome back Rafe Bartholomew. Hey, Rafe, man, thanks for being here, buddy.
Guys, thanks for having me back. I think hopefully now that I'm next to you, Mo, the sound will be better this time. None of my weird issues back in L.A.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
We have Chris over there in New York City. In studio in Metro Manila, Philippines is Gino Rufino. Fellas, let's get to it. Quarter number 1, 12 minutes on the clock, and I am taking first quarter duties. Of course, we can't bring up any other topic than the Warriors tying the 95-96 Bulls for most regular season wins at 72. They did it in grand fashion tonight by putting a blemish on that Spurs home record. They did it by beating the Spurs twice also after they kind of took that loss against Minnesota. Again, it was a second game of a back-to-back, which makes it a little bit more impressive. They had a 1-point win in Memphis yesterday. And again, they have not won in San Antonio since, I think, 1997, if I believe.
They said during the broadcast it was a 33-game losing streak.
Right. It's just it was like the year prior to drafting Tim Duncan or some crazy stat like that. So, again, I think all of the worry about the Warriors struggling into the playoffs is a non-issue. In fact, maybe we might even make an issue about the Spurs possibly struggling into the playoffs. They've lost 3 in a row.
The tables have turned.
I know, right? I mean,
in a span of how many days?
But I guess I think that's what exaggeration is about. No, really, because you guys, when we were talking about the Warriors, they look vulnerable. They look this. I was like, what, really? I mean, come on. Losing one game here, losing one game there. They're still 8-2 in their last 10 or 7-3 in their last 10.
That's bad for the Warriors.
It's bad for the Warriors. But look how quickly the tables do turn. All of a sudden, they beat the Spurs twice in the same week. They beat them at home. They take away that perfect record. All of a sudden, they're up, and they look great, and they look like they're one game away from setting a new regular season record and going into the playoffs where they want to be, which is on a roll. So I just wanted to ask you guys your take on the game tonight or the game prior to the Spurs. Is this kind of something where we can see that the Spurs are clearly maybe not the team that we think they're going to be against the Warriors, or are we just making a much ado about nothing?
It's laughable for us to say that the Warriors were vulnerable a couple days ago.
No. Listen,
again, the Spurs vulnerable?
No, not. It's a question. I didn't say they were because we tend to exaggerate. And Chris, you are the leader of said exaggeration when it comes to every topic. I want to ask you.
Mo. Yeah, but listen. There's nothing to worry about with the Spurs. Here's this, and I'll say it, and I think I said it the last month or so. The Warriors are a better team. So I know the Spurs lost a few games before that. It happens, no big deal down the stretch. They'll be fine. They're coached well. Their players are strong. And I have nothing else to add to that other than they're not vulnerable.
Sure. Rafe, anything you took from tonight's game, as well as the game against San Antonio a couple of days ago, in which we see these two powerhouse teams that will likely be, the conference final matchup. And anything you took from here says one team is clearly better than the other?
It means, obviously it means a lot that the Warriors came in and beat them twice in close succession. This is the second game. Right after that kind of rough game with Memphis last night. And, you can't really say anything. The Warriors always look like the favorite in this series if they end up meeting in the Western Conference Finals. They look even more like it now after this. But at the same time, I still think that the Spurs, if they make it there to play Golden State, they're going to be as good a challenge as the Warriors see. Maybe they have some strategic wrinkles still up their sleeve. We don't know. It doesn't even they're obviously a proven playoff team that they're gonna come in and compete and give Golden State their best shot. Are they gonna win necessarily? No, but I think they'll do whatever they can to give themselves a chance.
I don't think the Spurs have shown all their cards to the Warriors so far. Having said that, I don't know if showing all their cards would do them any good in a 7-game series. Like I said, I don't think that it's gonna be very difficult to beat this team in 4 out of 7 games. But I think what Pop is trying to do, he rested DL and Duncan tonight, and I think that he's trying to save whatever he can. For that 7-game series in the Western Conference Finals, where we all think that these two teams are gonna meet again. But you can't take anything away from what the Warriors did today. They tied that Bulls record, and I think they're let's not get ahead of ourselves yet, but I think they look primed to get that 73 against Memphis.
Right, more inspired now than anything. But what I took from this game and what I took from, say, the previous matchups between these two teams is that when the superstar struggles, and I know this is Captain Obvious, but when the Spurs have beaten the Warriors, we've seen really bad games from Steph Curry and really bad games from Klay, and you're like, okay, you can pinpoint that their star player isn't playing well. Tonight, Kawhi Leonard shot 7 for 22 from the field, so it was, okay, well, Kawhi had a bad game, hence the Spurs likely, the big reason why they lost.
Kawhi was missing a lot of his shots that he normally makes. He was like little 2 dribbles into the lane, then pull-ups and shots that he had clearance for, and you see him make all season long. So it wasn't that he was shut down necessarily. He just had one of those bad games, and that's going to happen. And the series may end up being decided by which team stars do have the show up and have the better series.
That's right, and that was going to be my point, that these two teams might not be. There might not be one clear-cut better team, that they're really evenly matched, and whoever can have their stars show up for every single game will dictate the winner of this series, maybe in a 7-game. So,
what kind of league is this? What kind of league is this?
It's
a superstar league.
I get it.
And that's what it's going to come down to. Truly is going to come down to that. What superstars are going to perform better in that if they do play in the Western Conference in that 7-game series. I know you always talk about X factors in the playoffs. It's the big time sometime for teams making a playoff run, but it always comes down to the superstars when it counts.
Sure. I believe that. All right, now speaking of the playoffs, just right around the corner, the last spot in the West is yet to be determined. We've got a couple teams there trying to kind of vie for position here and for that playoff spot between Dallas, Utah, and the Rockets. We've talked about the Rockets a lot here this season. They're still kind of on the outside looking in. They're a game away from an 8th spot against Utah Jazz, who are holding that 8th spot. I got to ask you guys here, what's going to happen with each of these teams if they miss out? Is it time to blow up Dallas? Is it time to blow up Houston if they don't make the cut? Especially a Houston team, which, a lot of people thought they were going to do well. They did well last season, expected to do well now. You have James Harden on the contract, I believe, for 2 more seasons. So you can't talk blow up here, can you? When you got one of the best offensive players on your team?
Well, aren't they going to blow them up in the sense that they're going to separate the 2 superstars? Well, quote unquote superstars on that team, namely Dwight Howard and James Harden. Dwight's gone after this week, right? We can all assume that. Well, if they don't make the playoffs, he's going to be gone after this week. So,
but you got to replace that if you think that the Houston has any chance to contend next season. Golden State comes back young, core group still there. You're going to have to bring in a formidable player.
Yeah, well, they're going to have some cap space.
Houston has as good a record as a lot of teams in terms of going out and convincing players to come there. They do a pretty good job. There's rumors, I don't really buy it, but I have read the rumor that James Harden is going to go out and convince his good friend Kevin Durant to come play with him.
Sure.
That would be a nice pickup.
And no worries there then in Houston if they don't make the cut this time around. They will be able to rebuild right away and just kind of throw out a legit team next season that could contend.
Or not. Whether they made the playoffs or not, they're going to blow it up anyway, in my opinion. We talked about not just Howard, but they're going to try to find pieces to fit around James Harden regardless. In my opinion, it's kind of not the way NBA should be. But, hey, go for that lottery ball, Houston. That's the way to go get that pick. Try to get a bigger pick.
This season is sort of lost for the Rockets, no matter what happens, whether they make the playoffs or not. I mean, I don't think they're good enough to show up and do more than maybe steal a game from Golden State. Probably
Sure.
not. It's just, they're punting on this season and trying to get better next year. And they might feel good about that because, James Harden, we've seen him in the past. It seems like he gets motivated by like screwing up the previous year. So his first year in Houston as a superstar, he scored great, but he turned into the Vine star of the NBA because he was never paying attention on defense. Then last year he comes out and is second, is the MVP next to Steph Curry and really, was excellent. Then he, feeling himself, dates some Kardashians,
That's
gets
right.
fat,
There you go.
and the season sucks. So, maybe they'll have a more committed Harden and that alone could turn their team around.
If Dallas doesn't make it, what kind of blow up are we looking up here? Is it necessary for a blow up? They've got some contracts there that they're going to be paying for, but is this an issue where Dallas is clearly on decline? Is this the best we're going to see them finish for the next few years?
Yeah, well, unless they get some players in there. I mean, a lot of their players are well, let's just say them past their prime. So I mean, until we see the next franchise guy in Dallas, this is really, I think, the ceiling for the Mavs for the foreseeable future. Obviously, that can change.
But would an owner like Cuban be able to tolerate that? I mean,
No,
you have a
he
guy
can't.
who's very much involved in the team and how they perform.
I don't think.
No,
I don't
what is
think.
he gonna do?
I don't think he can tolerate it. But well, exactly, Chris. What can he do in order to fix that? I mean,
Well,
that's
there are always players
episodes I
in-
brought it up that's saying, hey, the Mavs were the team that I had the most questions about going into the future, and it is because of these aging stars. It is because of these contracts. And Mo, you brought up, Cuban. Well, what about Cuban? Great. He's a great owner. He can always still get butts in the seats to the arena and great marketing. But there's little he can do with the team they have now. We're going to see a very big decline for them over the next few seasons.
a Laker-esque decline.
Yeah,
Maybe not that bad.
I'm looking forward to the snaps.
That's right. All right. And then, of course, clearly, if the Utah Jazz don't make it into the playoffs, a disappointment for a team that is young, talented, but at the same time, because their core is so young that, you know what, it can only kind of look up and think, well, if we can get our backcourt healthy and we can get some improvement there, this hopefully could be a formidable team in a year or two.
This is a building year for Utah. And no matter if they fall out, if they don't make it into the postseason, it's still a successful year for this Jazz team. And remember, they still were missing Dante Exum. I don't think he's a game changer, but I think he's one of those young pieces that they wish to develop this year in order for the future of this franchise. But I really like the Jazz in terms of what kind of talent that they have there. And if they make it to the playoffs, they're just going to get that much better. But no matter what happens to the Jazz this season, they're going to end up, this is going to be a successful campaign for them. And just hopefully they lose their last game of the regular season. That's all I'm counting.
Yeah. I mean, the future is bright for Utah, but I think of these three teams, I would almost think of them as the team that wants to make the playoffs the most because they have this young group that hasn't been there. They can really use that experience, and they also have some tough decisions about which of their really talented young guys they're going to sort of extend and keep on and which ones they might try and move and turn into other pieces.
I totally agree with you there.
The biggest questions for them this year: youth and experience, and a lot of problems in the fourth quarter. They get a steady hand of maybe a veteran presence in their young players, take a next step to the next level next year. I think they're going to be in prime position to be a very formidable team in this league.
Also, the most fun first round matchup for the Warriors by far.
Totally.
Oh,
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, you got to take a commercial break. When we come back, we have more of the full court report. Second quarter duties belong to Gino in Manila. Back after this. Don't go away.
A Sports5.ph original web show.
My name is Dominic Uy, and this is my buddy Kevin Limhoco.
We are going to be testing products to their nth degree, to their limits.
Cars.
How many car makers are not equipped with power steering?
Gadgets.
You feel the value of that watch.
And everything in between.
I don't like to pamper myself except in a restaurant.
This is the web show for the modern man.
Oh, let's go!
Nth degree. Catch it exclusively on Sports5.ph.
Welcome back to the Full Court Report. We have our second quarter, and we're going to Metro Manila, Philippines to talk to Gino Rufino. Gino, you have our point guard duties here for this one. 12 minutes on the clock. Where are you going?
Thanks, Mo. I want to use my quarter to talk about. We were talking about the two greatest teams this regular season, right? With the Warriors and the Spurs. So let's go to the other side a little bit. The teams that haven't been doing too well. But before we get to the team that I wanted to talk about more, I want to talk about Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson 2 years ago was considered to be a guy who was going to come in and save the New York Knicks. Since the first season. 16 and 65. That was their
Ouch.
record. You know, he didn't come back to play, and he did play for the Knicks. He didn't come back to coach. Of course, he coached for the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers. He came back to be the GM, the guy in charge to manage this team. This season, they're currently 32 and 49. Much improved, but still pretty far away from sniffing the postseason. Now, throughout his tenure so far as GM, he hired and fired Derek Fisher. He hasn't found a replacement for Kurt Rambis. And perhaps really the only thing that kind of stands out as, I guess, a successful thing that Phil Jackson has done for the Knicks franchise is basically drafting Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, good job.
Chris, you're the guy in New York. When P-Jax came over, what was the reaction first from the New Yorkers with him coming back to New York and supposedly trying to save that franchise?
You know, this is a team that's lost for so long that for the first time I saw a big name come to town, and Knicks fans were not overly excited about it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh no, I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know if this triangle offense is going to come in. He's not even come into play and work. He's not even coaching. What does that mean? Who's he going to put in charge of the team as the head coach?" There wasn't a lot of confidence there, and he's really not instilling any more in the last two seasons. So he's actually living up to the expectations where a lot of Knicks fans thought 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
Rafe, you're a New York guy too.
I'm also, grew up in New York, a Knicks fan. The "Go New York, Go" song. I can still sing it. And it started on a bad note with Phil, because as soon as he said, like, "Oh, maybe I can work from LA and come in once and fly in," that was like, and part of it, some of it I think is just is a little bit circumstantial. I don't really blame him for. I mean, if you think about it, his first choice for a coach, he offered the job to Steve Kerr, right?
Sure.
Now, would Steve Kerr be coaching the Knicks to a 73-9 season this year if he were there? No, but he wouldn't have had Derek Fisher, who turned out to have some problems of his own. And I think it's a little unfair to blame anything on the triangle offense when they just don't really have a talented roster yet. Although there's probably the triangle may not be the best offense for today's NBA, but this isn't the team to prove that one way or another.
Yeah.
All that said, Phil doesn't seem, he didn't seem committed at the beginning. He still seems like he's not taking it serious. If he wants Kurt Rambis to be the coach next year and more than an interim, that doesn't make any sense. It's unjustifiable.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
But I mean, has it been a disaster? I mean, what are you supposed to expect from
exactly
from him? What kind of overhaul were you guys looking for?
32 and 49 in his second season, coming from 16 and 65. I mean, that's a big improvement.
Sure, and there were some signings there that at least I liked. I mean, again, I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm not in New York, but I thought Robin Lopez was a nice addition.
Yeah.
Being able to get Grant also, this year. Kyle Quinn was, he wasn't awful, but he's serviceable. Again, what can you expect Phil Jackson to do when he inherited such an awful situation? Though, yes, the triangle's been a disaster. They don't have the personnel for it, you're right. And Derek Fisher's was just an awful choice. But the Kristaps one was a win, and there are a couple improvements there, I thought, this season.
And they could make other small changes and probably get into the playoff picture next year, sort of go piece by piece. I think, I don't love to Monday morning quarterback coaches, but Kurt Rambis has a pretty bad track history.
I think he has like a 20% winning percentage or something crazy.
And he just doesn't seem to be, Porzingis, maybe he hit the rookie wall, but he hasn't performed as well under Rambis. Rambis had that sort of now infamous interview where he was saying he wants, he doesn't want to play Porzingis as a stretch 5 or a stretch 4, but instead wants to move him into like a little bit of a small forward.
Right.
And it just it all sort of augurs badly, and especially there are going to be all these sort of established sort of successful coaches on the market this offseason, and for Phil to say that he's not really interested in those guys you can't really feel confident about that. He's like, I got my own guy who doesn't have a good track record, but trust me, we got this.
Well, how about this recent news? I mean, well, it's not that recent. I mean, it's been kind of I guess marinating a little bit that Phil kind of wants to get out of the situation in New York and move back to Los Angeles. I guess first of all, for personal reasons, with his fiancee Jeannie Buss, obviously the big boss of the Los Angeles Lakers, and if it happens, if Jim Buss doesn't get the Lakers back on track, I guess the time frame was supposed to be 3 years. I think we're in year 2. If he doesn't get it back on track after next season, maybe it's gonna end. That job's gonna fall to Phil Jackson's lab. I mean, what are the sentiments from you guys with that? I guess Phil Jackson wanting to cut his contract short and move back to LA.
Go from one crap team to another? Yeah, sure. Why not? And then just ruin his legacy more. But, I mean, aren't there kind of some hurdles there? I'm not the Laker insider that you are, Gino, but you mean some people have to go, right, for something like this to materialize?
Well, I mean, from my understanding, Mitch Kupchak will still remain the GM. The basketball operations will probably end up with Phil Jackson's hands. I mean, that's kind of like the root. Again, these
Why
are
not
just
take
rumors.
another team in disarray like the Chicago Bulls and come back to that? At least it's not that bad of a situation.
Right,
You still got
that's
some
not
star players there. That would be much better for that.
I think Phil,
Jackson resume.
At this point in Phil's life, it's all about quality of life. He likes
Sure.
LA. He's a good, his woman is there. He wants to be near Bay. It's just he's not trying to commute. He wants to just live it up. LA is a beautiful place to live, especially when you have money like Phil does. I wonder if by doing sort of having 3 kind of critically unsuccessful years with the Knicks is going to make it harder for Jeannie Buss to sell the idea of bringing Phil back to the Lakers, even as important as he has been to their championships in the past decade and how beloved he is in this town. Gino, I mean, would you want Phil back involved with the Lakers after seeing how he's done with the Knicks?
This is kind of like how I'm transitioning to this quarter. I mean, obviously Phil Jackson, Tex Winter, the triangle offense, they were very successful with that offense throughout their entire careers with the Bulls and the Lakers. Obviously, that triangle offense doesn't really work with the personnel in New York, like you guys mentioned earlier. But has Phil Jackson, a guy who was considered a trendsetter of a coach in the NBA, is he too old school now? Can even just his philosophies? I'm not talking about coaching, but
Gino,
just his
before
philosophies
that,
in general.
Gino, before that, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Just admit to me that if Phil Jackson came back to the Lakers, you'd be fully aroused. Enough window dressing. Just admit it.
A little
Just
bit.
admit it.
A little
Just
bit.
stop
A little
asking
bit.
questions.
I mean,
Exactly.
I know he wouldn't be the coach, but I'll be honest, a little
capacity.
bit.
Pitching a small tent outside of the Staples Center,
Yes. And it's like Jeannie Buss is like the Kardashian of the NBA, just the way she just gets men all jammed up. I mean, Phil is all jammed up here. But Gino, I know you love the
does
drama.
that mean Phil needs to watch out for James Harden trying to sort of swipe his girl over the summer?
Absolutely. Gino, you love the drama. You love it all.
I would. It would add some interesting stories to the Lakers franchise. But I mean, but it's Phil Jackson, just his philosophies, not necessarily his coaching, because I don't think he's going to be coming back to coach, but just the way he sees the game and the way he thinks of today's NBA. Is it too old school for the way the game is played today? Mo, what are your thoughts?
Triangle offense is. It's like, for you NFL fans out there, it's like the wishbone offense or the wildcat offense. Like, things change over the years, and the triangle offense is a thing of the past. I don't know if it can work at the highest level in the NBA.
Nothing generates solid, open 18-footers like the triangle offense. Everyone loves long twos, man.
I think maybe. Do you think we overrate some of these guys who've had success in the past? That we say, oh, okay, you know what? He led, the Bulls and the Lakers to these championships. That all of a sudden he can do it now in the modern game, in the 2016 game. That because what you're hiring is the name and the brand, and not really the skill or the ability to make things happen in the modern game. I think that, when you say Phil Jackson's coming back to the Lakers, it's more just branding and hype than it is really substance.
Gino, I hope you're counting rings over there. That was incredible. I can't believe Mo said that.
But think about it. This guy wanted Steve Kerr. He saw something in Steve Kerr that he knew that he could coach. And it didn't pan out, but I don't know why.
I hope he didn't see the same thing in Derek Fisher.
Oh man!
All right, let's move on. I know we're down to our 2 minutes in my court here. Let's move on. This coming Thursday, Manila time, Wednesday, in the United States, Kobe Bryant's final game with the Los Angeles Lakers coming to a close. His 20-year career in the NBA. I'll be honest with you guys. It's been very difficult to watch the Lakers this season. I can only count maybe about 10 games.
Just this season? I'll tell you, a couple
watched.
seasons have been pretty rough, right?
Well, maybe the last 3 seasons have been rough. But
Sure.
I mean, this last season for me in particular, I can't bring myself to watch more than 10 games of the Lakers this season. And today, Kobe dropped 35 on the Rockets again with ending up in a loss. But what are your thoughts with this farewell tour that Kobe has this season? Obviously, it's gone. That every, I mean, and it's kind of understandable that all that I guess that stubbornness that Kobe had at thinking he was going to win every single game, thinking he was going to win another championship every single year, that was gone this year, and it was very clear. And he said it so many times that he doesn't want to do this anymore, that he's done. He doesn't even want to play for Team USA in the Olympics, even though that's a guaranteed gold.
Yeah, I mean, the minute he sent in his that retirement love note is when he let his mind go and say, "Hey, it's over." And that super competitiveness, Kobe, he was pretty much gone. And it was kind of this, as you know, this kind of parade, the coronation, this kind of exit party for Kobe, and it wasn't anything more than that. And now it comes down to his last game coming up. You're going to watch that. You're going to watch the the Warriors go for 73. That's really the big story
the
too.
The tip off is going to be at the exact same time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time in New York. Okay, let's go around the room really quickly. I asked this on Twitter, and it was an overwhelming reply, and I'll tell you guys what that reply was after I asked you guys. Mo, which would you watch? The Dubs go for 73 or Kobe's finale? Stupid question, huh?
I think ESPN kind of answered it for me. They bumped the Kobe game to ESPN 2 so they can go ahead and air the ESPN Warriors game. So
bumped to the Ocho.
Yeah.
That's a bad move.
I would listen. I'm going to go for the Warriors to go ahead and beat the Bulls record. That would be the game that I'd watch. Of course, I think we all are going to change from channel to channel, but the entire game we're going to take the Dubs definitely. And then if they blow out Memphis, which I hope they will, then I'll probably switch over to the Kobe show in the fourth.
Well, there's another important farewell game that night, also on the Lakers. My man, Metta World Peace, like a New York legend. He's probably not coming back to the league after that game.
Well, that's true.
Say Queensbridge.
That's right.
But he left the door open. He said he wants to come. Let's call a quick timeout here. He wants to leave the door open for four more years. He says that he can play. But anyway, Rafe, how about you? Though, I mean, if you were to choose between those two games, which one would you watch? Which one
I'm kind of a sentimental guy. I think I actually, and I have not watched the Lakers hardly at all this year because there's no reason to. But I think on that game, I watch Kobe. I want to say, I want to. He's earned that, and I don't know. I mean. And I think that the Grizzlies, the Memphis Golden State game could be really good. The Grizzlies are mad about last night. Yeah. And they want to, stop Golden State. But I don't know. I'm going to go with the sentimental pick and actually do what no one else is going to do and watch the Deuce. Watching the Deuce.
And Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be watching the Warriors, but I actually think ESPN is making a mistake because, and I've said this a couple of months back, I actually think Kobe's farewell will generate bigger ratings because you'll get the hardcore basketball fans that want to tune in too because they know who Kobe is.
All right, and my followers on Twitter, it was an overwhelming response. I would say about 99.9% of them did say that they would tune into the Laker game.
Nice. From your
wait.
It's still a demographic.
Not just my Twitter followers, but another, I would say, a very popular person from the Philippines, Bianca Gonzalez, retweeted it. And that's a lot of her followers as well, which is a lot of non-Laker fans. So
It's Laker country.
I was gonna say,
Of course.
who's a non-Laker fan?
Yeah, it's the Philippines. It's Laker country, man.
But
anyway,
anyway.
listen, I'm all over the Warriors. I'll watch Kobe on YouTube, and I hope Steph hits 8-3 so he can get to 400. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we have the halftime show. You're listening to the Full Court Report. Back after this.
Welcome to the initial episode of No Holds Barred with the Dean, Finito Henson. We ask the questions, you get the answers.
Did you feel rough that you didn't get the Best Import award?
I won Best Import.
If you were the commissioner of the PBA for a day, what would be the first thing you'd do?
I'm not changing nothing.
Tell us, Leland, last November, when Samboy, your husband, suffered cardiac arrest, what was your feeling? How were you able to cope? And what kind of magnitude of expenses are you facing?
It's not good.
It's halftime here at the Full Court Report, and if you're familiar with the show, we use this moment to take a little bit of time away from the game of basketball and just talk about stuff in general in life. Today, since we in the previous quarter, we talked about two very special events in the NBA calendar. Kobe's last playing day in his career and Warriors going for the record 73 wins, happening at the exact same moment, and we have to choose one or the other. Although with NBA League Pass, we can watch both. How about that? So we're going to be discussing amongst ourselves stuff that we had to choose, or events that we had to choose one or the other, and we couldn't. Although we would really love to do both, we only had to choose one. So we'll go around the room, or perhaps in this case around the world, to choose for us to decide or to hear from my co-hosts. Let's start with Rafe. I'm curious.
Okay.
Rafe, what are two events in your life that you had to choose one or the other and you couldn't do both?
So I think because I'm here in Las Vegas because I was covering the Pacquiao Bradley fight last night.
Congratulations, Manny. Go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations, Manny. He looked great. So I have boxing in the brain. Actually, I think of last year's Mayweather Pacquiao fight when I had been covering fights in Las Vegas for a while. Probably could have gone to that one in person, and instead ended up using it instead to go back to Manila and watching the fight there. So I still sort of was involved with it, but I passed up on the opportunity to be in like the fight of the century,
ever, right?
This thing where people were like selling their souls to get into, and there was like a line of private jets backed up in the Las Vegas airport. So I gave up on that to watch in a covered court in Manila in Mandaluyong City, where in round 7 they lost signal.
Nice.
But
it turned out to be the right choice.
Yeah, you didn't miss out.
You
didn't miss out on that fight. That was probably one of the worst fights in boxing history. But how about Mo? How about you?
The problem with my job at times is that, when you get booked so, months in advance to do a gig, some nice thing comes around and you're like, oh, I can't do that because I have this commitment that I signed a contract for 6 months ago. And I remember I signed a contract to do this shampoo promotional tour around the Philippines, and it was just to promote the shampoo that I was endorsing. And it so happened that a recording company said, hey, do you want to go to Dublin and catch U2 perform? And I'm not really that big of a U2 fan, but I just know that it was, they're such a historically amazing band and their concerts are crazy. And this is a big one because it's going to be in Ireland. And I was like, oh, man, you know what? I can't because I'm doing this freaking shampoo tour that I'm doing where I have to just give away shampoo sachets.
Nice.
I can't do it. And it's, I have to fly to Mindanao and do this. So I had to turn it down. And then guess what? A huge typhoon hit the Philippines on the day of the shampoo giveaway. And they had to cancel the event. And I could have just been in Ireland. So I missed that.
So did you get to keep all the sachets?
Yeah, I still have like a lifetime supply somewhere in the garage that if you guys ever need some shampoo, please do know that I got your back. But never got a chance to see you two. And no great story for me to tell about how awesome their concert was live in the front row and all that nonsense.
Chris, how about you?
Sure. So early in 2015, I received a wedding invitation of a buddy's. He's going to get married at the end of October, early November. I'm in Jamaica. No big deal. Sounds like a fun time. I head down there, enjoy the wedding, enjoy, of course, Jamaica. So as the fall goes on, and I realize more and more, like, oh my goodness, my New York Mets are a really, really, really good team. And I started looking at the calendar, looking at the wedding date, looking at the calendar, looking at the wedding date. I said, oh my goodness, if this team makes the World Series, it's going to happen during the week of the wedding in Jamaica. I don't know how I'm going to work around that. I want to go to the games. Even when I'm down there, will I get TV access? And I said, the Mets won't make the World Series. They make the World Series, of course.
Of course they do, right.
So I still choose to go to Jamaica. So that made it tough enough. I wasn't going to miss the wedding that I already said I was going to go to, plus my friend. I wouldn't do that to him. But it was about me and my brother trying to find time to sneak away and watch the games and try to, coerce these big cricket fans to turn on baseball on the TV, staring at us like, what the heck is this baseball crap? And we got them on. And of course, the night of the exact ceremony, we had to miss a part of the game, with the reception and everything. Now, what was interesting though, around the same time when I got home, guys, we also are ready to start season 1 of Full Court Report.
Yeah,
that's right.
I looked at the dates again. I said, "Oh my goodness, the only way I'll be available for the first episode of Full Court Report is if the Mets lose and can't get there by game 6 or game 7." Well, guess what? They got beaten 5. I cried, but I was still there for the first episode of Full Court Report. Had they gone to 6 or 7, I don't know what I would have done.
Might be the only time they get to the World Series in the next few years because
how dare you?
Dodgers strong, Cardinals strong, Giants strong. Yeesh, tough times over there in New York. All right, time's up. But quickly, Gino, what do you got?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mo, I have so many work stories that I had to miss one for the other type of thing. But I'll stay away from that, and I'll go a little bit more personal here. On this coming July 1 to 3, that same weekend, I have to choose. Well, I already made my choice, but I mean, it was kind of a difficult choice between my high school reunion and a trip with my girlfriend's family. So I had to choose between
where
you're gonna get judged. You're gonna get judged at both.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is the reunion at the high school you own, or is the vacation in the island that you own? Which one is
an island? Like, where is
That's
it?
right.
First world problems.
No. I mean, the reunion. This is but from like some old classmates that are coming in from Europe, coming in from the States, coming in from Australia. They're all coming back, so I chose that. I chose that to do that.
That's what social media is for.
It's,
keep on people with social
it was a little
media.
difficult.
You have to go with your girlfriend's parents, man. You can't.
No. But I've done it before. So.
Oh, you've canceled on your girlfriend's parents.
No. No.
They have low expectations already.
I've traveled with them before. So I mean, it's understandable.
Okay, good job.
It's understandable.
Okay.
So that was my choice.
So you're not gonna have any sex after July until next year. So that's okay. All right. Yeah, that's a small price to pay for a high school reunion with some dudes. Yeah, sure. Why
Bro
not?
code.
Oh, yes, perfect choice. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have our second half. Don't go away.
He has made viewers laugh with his funny antics and awesome style in comedy. He has also been in quite a few headlines himself. Well, funny man Arnel Ignacio loves good times too. Curious if he has funny secrets he'd like to spill? Then head on to www.tv5.com.ph/originals and watch Good Times with Mo. Thursday, 9 p.m. on Digital 5. Call us on our hotline, also on Viber and Skype.
All right, welcome back to the Full Court Report. It's our second half, and we will go to our special guest tonight who's subbing in for Brad. This is Rafe Bartholomew. Rafe, you have quarter number 3 point guard duties, and you have 12 minutes on the clock. What's up, buddy?
All right, fellas. So this came up in last night's Memphis and Golden State game, and it's something that I've sort of noticed for a long time. It creeps in and out of the conversation with Golden State. I think that they are on the low, one of the dirtiest teams in the NBA.
What?
And nobody
Steph,
nobody really
like
exactly nobody says it because, or nobody really pays attention. They get away with it because They're, what they do with the ball, their ball movement, their shooting, it's all so smooth and pretty. You're like, how can these guys ever be nasty? And I'm not only talking about Andrew Bogut, who we know is like a caveman. Sure. It's like across the board. And they're like, I really think they're like one of the handsiest teams on both sides of the ball, away, like offense, defense, away from the ball. You see them, they're becoming sort of infamous for setting crazy moving screens. There was in tonight's game against the Spurs, which Rush is it? Is it Brandon?
Yeah, it's Brandon.
Brandon Rush ran over Patty Mills and setting a screen for Stephen Curry, and not even came close to stopping, just ran him over. And then they like Iguodala, Draymond Green, they anytime somebody cuts, they're basically just going to armbar them and make sure that cut doesn't sort of get the separation it's supposed to. And that stuff adds up. And I mean, it's great that they get away with it, but at the same time, it must drive teams crazy playing against them, especially when you think of how the league calls contact on the ball so closely. And you can't touch Steph. You can't touch guys when they have the ball. But off the ball, they're out here like hugging and wrapping people up. There was that play in yesterday's game when Draymond grabbed the back of Vince Carter's jersey and basically threw him to the ground on a layup, and then like the high five with Lance Stevenson's follow through at the end of the game. It's in the last shot. I don't know. Have you guys noticed this? Do you think that everyone in the NBA is like this? Am I just sort of reaching for something
Rafe,
to?
I'll start and say, Rafe, I already like you, man. Great topic.
All right.
I've seen this pretty much the whole season. And first of all, it's great to be on top because the Heat they got the opportunity to get away with fouls at the top of their championship run. It always happens for the top teams in the league.
Right.
It's just one of those things. But there's no question with Draymond charging through people, his moving screens. I brought it up a couple weeks ago when they lost to the Celtics. He was doing diving headbutts into the pile. And then you look no further than the Memphis game a couple days ago. It was just a very, very rugged game. And you saw Klay Thompson, you saw even Steph Curry foul Lance Stevenson, and what things weren't even called. Sneakily, yes, this team on the low gets away with some dirty plays. There's no question about that, but they're on top, and they've quote unquote earned it because it's NBA tradition.
John Stockton plays.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you guys think that they'll get away with it more in the playoffs, or what? Say with the Spurs or the Cavs or Oklahoma City end up in a 7-game series with the Warriors, what can they do to sort of prevent themselves from getting on the bad side of these or non-calls? Like, are the coaches going to have to sort of cry and moan nonstop to make sure that the refs are on point, or what?
I think it's a package, man. Clearly, playoff basketball is a more physical game, but the coaches on the other team have to, they got to work the ref. That really works. So it's going to be a package everywhere. I mean, Draymond Green has always been known since his rookie year to be a rough player. I don't want to label it dirty because you got to be really a goon for me to call you dirty, but he's always been that kind of guy. Andy Bogut has been labeled one of the top dirty players in the league as well. So they just right there, their front court is a kind of a menacing, unforgiving front court there. Guys off the bench, even on Maurice Spate, sometimes I see you get away with a dirty play here and there.
That's right.
And again, they protect their guys. You get dirty on Steph, they go out and get dirty on you as well. So there's a camaraderie there, I think, where they flex a little bit of muscle when people tries to intimidate them, and they don't back down. So all of those things considered, being part of this Golden State makeup, I think come playoff time when it's a much more physical game, you will have to kind of get into the ear of the referee if you want to limit this quote-unquote dirty play, which I think is just really very aggressive.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it dirty.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it dirty. I think they're blatant about it, actually, Rafe. I mean, they because it's not like they're trying to hide it. I mean, they're really doing it in front of everybody, it's glaring. I mean, people see it, and I think the way to go around it is you have to do it to them. You have to do the same thing. I mean, basically do what Memphis
you
did.
got to watch out for that.
But you get the calls.
No, you get the calls. But I mean, that's the thing. That's the part. When you got the MVP on your team, when you got the defending champion, you're going to get the calls.
But if you do it in a 7-game series in the postseason, things aren't going to be called as tightly in the playoffs. They're going to let you play a little bit more than they do in the regular season.
So I think it's for Draymond Green to get away with more stuff then, or Andrew Bogut. I mean, it's more opportunity for them to take advantage of that.
I'm more worried about if they match up against San Antonio, they're not going to get away with it just because Popovich is such an intimidating factor, I think, with the referees that there's a certain amount of respect there with Pop that, they're going to start calling these little dirty fouls and
it's kind of, it's one of those things like in playoff basketball, it's almost sort of silly. You see it happen in series where the teams are evenly matched. It almost goes game by game where one team gets favored, then their coach goes and complains. Coach might get fined for complaining too much. Refs come back, give the other team the calls, and it's like it sort of evens out, and it sort of feels silly because you're like, well, refs, why don't you just call it even throughout the series instead of like making up each game for the one previous? But I guess it's better than favoring one team all the way.
Sure.
All right. While we still have a few minutes. Yeah, we still got 6 minutes then. The second half, at the end of this week, there's just been all of this crazy turmoil in Philadelphia, which I guess is the norm. But even crazier with Sam Hinkie, the GM, they're finally stepping down, sort of unexpectedly. I remember listening to him on, my former coworker Zach Lowe's podcast, getting no clue that he was going to, quit the next day, and then reading, he put out a 13-page manifesto. I mean, just a resignation letter, but because it's the internet, we're calling it a manifesto. Sure. But that was a pretty strongly worded document where he's comparing, he's justifying his philosophies with quotes from Abraham Lincoln and comparing his way of thinking to Elon Musk and tech entrepreneurs. And it's just sort of like, and then this today or the last couple of days, we get this weird switch in and out with the Colangelos where, Jerry Colangelo, the Sixers had brought him in to sort of stabilize the organization this year. And then today, he names his son, the new boss, and then walks away from the job. So it just looks like a setup. Are things just getting worse and worse in Philadelphia? How can they get any lower?
Maybe it's getting better. I mean, the Colangelos have a track record of success, of some sort of success, anyway. So I think I didn't read the manifesto.
You gotta read it.
But I mean, if you ask me, if with the name with what the Colangelos have done in the NBA and USA basketball, I think things will just turn around and get better. I mean, how much worse can it get in Philly than right now?
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, here's the other question for you guys. Do you think that the Colangelos sort of set this up perfectly so that, they drove out Hinkie right at the moment when they might have, 4 first-round picks in this draft, which isn't necessarily a strong draft, but then maybe they get Dario Saric to come over from he's Croatian, he's playing in Turkey. Maybe they could even get Joel Embiid healthy and playing basketball. All of a sudden, they roll out a team with 6 lottery picks on it. They're young, and they won't win right away, but you see young talent, and maybe it starts to uptick from there. Did the Colangelos just pull the ultimate? I don't know, okey doke on this? How did they pull this off?
Great political move, political move by the Colangelos. And Hinkie wants to compare himself to a politician, Abraham Lincoln. Maybe Colangelo should be doing that because they really made the political move here. It's as Gino said, it only can go up from here, and they're in a prime position to look like studs by coming in and making some moves.
Sure.
The only question is Joel Embiid, though. Hopefully, he can get healthy. I don't know. Don't bet your paycheck on that one.
Joel, what would be in Joel Embiid's manifesto? Like Shirley Temples, Rihanna.
Well, I'm just so glad Sam Hinkie's so grounded and humble in who he is. So that'll help him get another job soon.
But yeah, no, definitely. It's sky's the limit now. I guess after this being the bottom of the barrel for the Sixers, they've got a lot of salary cap room. They've got some talent there. They've been hoarding picks. Even if they lose Joel Embiid, he just kind of never pans out and just becomes this head case. They're still going to be stacked, and like you said, they're going to be throwing out the lottery guys out there. In the next few years, that's going to make this team and going to make the Colangelos look freaking brilliant in maybe 2 years, as soon as 2 years or 3 years. So yeah, no, it's a good thing over there in Philly. And
so does that? So what happens to Sam Hinkie now? Does he get hired? Right? It's not like I've heard some people say some people say, yeah, I'd hire Sam Hinkie tomorrow, while others are like, no, I'm not touching that guy with a 12-foot pole.
Yeah, with this manifesto, and I'm just perusing through it myself right now. I wouldn't hire this guy at all. This guy he's absolutely nuts, man. I mean, he'll probably go to the Knicks, but this guy is absolutely nuts.
The track record has blue and orange all over it.
It does sound like he's a perfect guy for New York.
Now, nothing warms my heart when something happens to Philly sports teams, though, like this, because they're such a dirty, dirty city. So I have no problem with that.
But how do you, just kind of jump off this, how do you tank, whether, okay, let's remove the 76ers. Let's clearly target a team like the LA Lakers. How do you kind of go ahead and know that there's a process, or as Colangelo says, a plan, it's called now the plan, that you are going to suck for a few years in hopes of stacking a couple of lottery picks out there, rebuilding this team, and then in 3-4 years, maybe get a key free agent and go out there and compete at a high level? How do you save face if you're an executive in a franchise like this when you're clearly tanking? Tanking it's a trend, man. It's hip. It's no longer the last team in each conference doing it, but we even saw almost Atlanta blow up their team during the trade deadline, and they were ranked at the 3 or 4 in the Eastern Conference. So it's always been around. Yeah. So how do you save face as an executive when you're telling your fan base, we're going to lose for a couple of years in an attempt to get better down the line?
Well, one of the big criticisms of Hinkie was that he didn't work very hard to communicate with the fan base or with the media, and that maybe he wouldn't, it wouldn't have come down as hard on him if he had been sort of more media friendly and sort of made pals with more of the national reporters and had them, instead of always looking to criticize him. We know this is sort of how media works. Like if the source is nice to you, you tend to it's a lot easier to see the way that source thinks of things. You're like, oh yeah, I see what he's trying to do there. He's a good guy. Whereas if he's just like, I don't have time for you, sorry, you're like, well, he's obviously stupid. I mean, do you think that if Hinkie had been better with the media, if he had sort of played along more, things would have worked out better for him?
Possibly, but say for example the Lakers have that the 76ers don't have. The Lakers had a farewell tour with one of their best players of all time. So you can kind of hide those
you
things.
Need a smoke screen.
Right. Smoke screen that thing.
That's the best way to do it, Mo. You overplay a legend.
So he wrote a damn manifesto.
But you overpay an NBA legend, one of the greatest of all time, for 2 years, knowing that you're gonna suck. And you're basically tanking for 3 years with him injured out for one of those years, and then you overpay him. And then totally. And then by the time that the contract's over, you have so much cap space, and you have a lot of cap space, and you have a high draft pick possibly. And
that's right. You have teams recording each other secretly. Nobody cares because it's Kobe saying goodbye. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we have our fourth quarter. You're listening to the Full Court Report. Back after this.
A Sports5.ph original web show.
My name is Dominic Uy, and this is my buddy Kevin Limhoco.
We are going to be testing products to their nth degree, to their limits.
Cars.
How many car makers are not equipped with power steering?
Gadgets.
You feel the value of that watch.
And everything in between.
I don't like to pamper myself except in a restaurant.
This is the web show for the modern man.
Oh, let's go!
Nth degree. Catch it exclusively on Sports5.ph.
All right, welcome back to the Full Court Report. It is our fourth quarter, and for this, we go to New York City, talk to Chris Savage. Chris, you have 12 minutes, and point guard duties here. Where are you going with?
All right, fellas, I want to take this time to talk about the OKC Thunder. They're locked into the third spot in the Western Conference. Clearly a team that can have a lot of upside, and we've seen that. And unfortunately, in this second half of the season, we've seen when they can be very bad as well. Upside, of course, two superstars among the two best players in the league in Westbrook and Durant. The downside has been 14-12 since the break. And it hasn't been one of those, hey, win one, lose one type of deals. It's win 7 in a row, then lose 4 out of 12. We just saw the 7-8 game winning streak they had, and now they've lost, I believe, 4 out of 5. One of those games was without most of their starters, but still, an inconsistent approach to the season, an inconsistent track record. So going into the playoffs, what's your take on this team? Is this a team that can make a nice run, or is it a team that's just going to stumble with their inconsistency? And part of the inconsistency, by the way, is 13 blown leads in the fourth quarter this year, the most in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to them being able to close, or at least in this case, you said their inability to close. They're going to have to right that ship, and I think it becomes with better decision making with their superstars. Clearly, we all know that the ball is going to be going to Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant come fourth quarter, but it seems like they're trying to draw a foul, while taking a inadvised shot, and it's just really, I think, their mental lapse more than it is their inability to perform. I'm kind of shocked by it because you think, at least in my opinion, that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook have been around long enough to know to make the right decision in these situations. They have not found themselves healthy these past few years to have those two boys run side by side, and to kind of let it all go to waste because they're making bad decisions at the end of the games is really a bit of a shame. I hope they kind of right that ship. They're an exciting team. It would be nice to have three elite type of teams in the West come playoff time, but they really have to make better decisions come fourth quarter.
Well, don't you guys think it's a little bit of the coaching that needs to?
No, because the coaching is this. Hey, Kevin, here you go. Hey, Russell, here you go. Now do your thing.
But that's the whole point, right? I mean, if you.
Well, who else are you going to go to, though?
No, I mean, they're just the culture in OKC. It's almost like the coach lets them do whatever they want to do, namely Durant and Westbrook. I mean, it's almost like he's afraid. To reprimand them in any sort of way.
It works beautifully for three quarters, but it come forth, somebody they just start making bad choices. Those are the players. I don't think it's the coach.
He's made changes where he wants to make sure that at least Durant and Westbrook is on the floor at the same time. So he's implemented changes so he doesn't have both of them on the bench. It seems like it was fine at times, and again, but it was the same inconsistency we even saw earlier in the season. So he has tried to make changes. They don't work either.
Well, this is the problem that OKC has had, going back to Scotty Brooks, and that, their offense, as great, even though it is a very efficient offense, throughout the game, it bogs down in close games at the end and in the last few minutes, when it turns into either Westbrook or Durant sort of just killing shot clock and then trying to take a contested shot, and they make them pretty well. They make them better than probably almost every other player in the league except maybe Steph Curry and a couple other guys. But it's just not it seems like they're making the game harder than they need to make it for themselves. And the thing that people want to see a coach do in Oklahoma City is figure out some way to get those guys, an offensive flow that gets the ball to Durant, with a little bit of momentum, with a defender off balance trying to rush at him, or giving him a little more of an advantage than just, okay, here's your guy, he's on you, take him. That's not what people look at as the best, the best kind of NBA offense.
Is Westbrook capable of making that decision, though, of maybe sucking it up and then maybe driving, kicking out to Durant? What we see Russell do is he drives, tries to draw contact, throws up a 20-footer off balance and misses it outright or turns the ball over. Is the problem Russell Westbrook here?
Ooh, well, I mean, his turnover numbers have been up. They're definitely a questionable thing. So, I mean, we always have the discussion about his upside, but his downside. His upside's so big, it's hard to walk away from. So, I mean, that, again, it's an interesting question. Again, I think you have to ride that, because when we see his upside, and of course, Durant is always up for the most part, that they win 7 in a row, they win 8 in a row. I think they have to ride that into the playoffs and see what can happen.
And I mean, and even while we've sort of spent like 5 minutes kind of crapping on him, I am not very worried about this team going like underperforming in the playoffs. Now they're going to face a hard series in the second round probably when they play the Spurs. But I think to me that is a toss-up series. The Spurs have had a great season. I think in a 7-game series, those two teams against each other, that's 50-50 to me. And I might even I can really talk myself into Oklahoma City being a better matchup or a tougher matchup for Golden State if they were to make the Western Conference Finals. I love the Spurs. The way they play is probably my favorite in the entire NBA. But the talent that Oklahoma City brings can beat anyone in a 7-game series. they do have to show up, and they have to be on at the right moments. But I think this is a team that they, and I talk about matching firepower with the Warriors. I mean, Russell Westbrook is the only guy I can think of who has a chance to outplay Steph Curry in a series.
I like the Spurs matchup because of the two styles going against each other, and because, again, the Thunder can't bang out 6, 7 in a row in the regular season. Why can't they do it in a playoff type environment? I know the teams will see each other every day or every other day for 7 games, but yeah, I mean, I don't disagree there that maybe the Spurs would be a little bit vulnerable or at least pushed by this OKC team. Warriors, I don't know, but I mean, it's not the craziest thing to think about.
Yeah. I mean, I guess having a rookie coach is a little bit of a concern going into the NBA playoffs when you're going to be facing off against, Popovich and then, Steve Kerr, who's not as experienced, but obviously, won the finals last year and has been a good play caller. And just like, playoff basketball, possessions matter so much that, like, if Popovich can or Kerr can you can make an inbounds play, you can do one thing to sort of steal an extra couple points that adds up to like maybe a +6 net in the game. That could just be the difference in the game that cost them the series. So I mean. And, Billy Donovan has to prove himself either up to that task or not up to that task, and we don't know, and that's got to be a little bit scary for them.
Yep, absolutely. We talk about inconsistencies in their offense, though, but they're putting up points. We know that. Are we comfortable with this team's defense for a playoff run? Because they certainly have been giving up a lot of points in the last, really in the last month or so, even when they've been winning.
I think their defense is going to be a little bit of a concern. I mean, we all know that they definitely can put up points, but those fourth quarter meltdowns, a lot of that happens on the defensive end more than anything. And in the postseason, if they're not going to be able to slow down the Spurs offense in the second round, I don't think the series is going to be close. I think that defense is the key for them. Because sure, they're gonna commit turnovers. Sure, the Spurs, the defense are gonna suffocate them at certain points in that fourth quarter. But if they can't slow down, the Spurs offense, there's just no chance.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Russell Westbrook, I mean, there's been questions on his defense at times as well. I mean, that's how he is, I guess, kind of the yin and the yang with him on offense and defense with the inconsistency. But guys, I do want to switch over to another topic before we finish up here. And a recent video came out that it was a mashup, if you will, put together of Jeremy Lin just getting hit in the face all year, driving to the hole, or any shots that he's taking with no flagrant fouls being called, or sometimes no fouls at all. The person who put this together kind of sent out an open letter, if you will, to the NBA and Adam Silver, questioning maybe racial motivations to Jeremy Lin, who's always had kind of an uphill battle being Asian playing basketball. He's always been looked upon as, someone who's probably not supposed to be in the league, and people
security not letting him in the arena.
Stuff like that, or he's supposed to be an afterthought. So there was a study also in 2007 where they did a study, and it said black players were 6 times more likely to receive a foul call than white players. So we have this Jeremy Lin situation now that was brought to the attention. The NBA is going to eventually see it if they haven't already. Is there something to that? Is there something to racism when it comes to foul calling in the NBA? Do you put any stock into that, guys?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I wouldn't really assume that it is intentional, explicit racism. Now, there could be implicit biases in that, just that you look at, that the same reason, people make assumptions, like incorrect assumptions about people based on the color of their skin in other walks of life. Referees might, be like, well, he's not as good as those guys, so he probably doesn't deserve the call. I mean, I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not sitting in their head somewhere. One thing that I can think of to maybe explain it a little bit, that is specific to Jeremy Lin's game, is that his drives to the rim are very sort of helter-skelter and can look reckless and out of control. So and I think that's how referees call the game sometimes. If a guy looks like he's not, like he's, just sort of flying to the rim and doesn't know what he's going to do, he might not get the call even if he does draw contact. So that might be why he's not getting those calls more than.
I'm 100% behind you, Rafe, on that explanation. I mean, I was in New York when the Linsanity was going on, and boy, the turnover numbers that he was throwing up, a lot of them were based on not just like a bad pass and transition. It was him driving to the hoop recklessly, then throwing the ball away or flailing and falling down, and all of a sudden, ball's turned over. He just doesn't look like he's under control when he's driving. It's kind of like baseball, Chris. You're a big baseball guy. If you've got a pitcher that's wild and walking everybody, he could throw one right down the middle. The umpire's not going to call it a strike because you know what? You're all over the place. So I think that would be the best explanation for it. It has nothing to do with race. It's just his game's that way.
No, now regardless of the explanation, though, there's a video that's put out. We spoke about it last quarter. Is this video good for the Hornets? Because now it brings it to the attention. Maybe it helps them on the foul calls in the playoffs. Is this good for the Hornets?
Get a few flagrants on people in the playoffs? Why not?
I mean, anything. The referees are going to be watching a little more now. That you have to bring it to the ref's attention. Like when Popovich rides a referee. This kind of puts it out there.
Yeah, Jeremy just has to walk around the court going, it's just because I'm Asian, right? And they just kind of just start cursing in Chinese.
Well, that's Asian.
Calling the referees racist is playing the race card as much as possible on a basketball court.
That's right. But any advantage you can get heading into the postseason, do it. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps the Hornets here. I mean, it's the last thing I'll say of this is, and even if it's not blatant, we talked about it before. If superstars are given the benefit of the doubt with fouls in the league, and whether it's in subconscious or consciously, there's a certain segment, maybe racial, maybe people complain about whatever, that you have to think there might be something there too. I'm not saying it's definitely the case, but just the logic of it, if it happens in one side, it could certainly happen in the other, and I wouldn't put it past that thought process, even if it's subconscious. But great talk, guys.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's racial. People love us Asians, man. We're awesome, right?
I mean, I love you guys.
Totally. Yeah, no, absolutely, of course. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have our overtime segment. You're listening to the Full Court Report. Back after this. Don't go away.
He has made viewers laugh with his funny antics and awesome style in comedy. He has also been in quite a few headlines himself. Well, funny man Arnel Ignacio loves good times too. Curious if he has funny secrets he'd like to spill? Then head on to www.tv5.com.ph/originals and watch Good Times with Mo. Thursday, 9 p.m. on Digital 5. Call us on our hotline, also on Viber and Skype.
All right, fellas. So for overtime, I saw a video this weekend that it was a segment on local news TV in Utah about Gordon Hayward's hair. I guess he got into GQ magazine for having the best hair in the NBA, at least according to them, and. It's because he's got this, like sort of really tight side, whatever Don Draper look that always stays like looking pretty crisp on the court.
Yeah, he looks great.
And they're like, and I think BuzzFeed picked it up and did like this silly post of like, how did a haircut make this guy so hot? And so just, goofing around like, what play? And also, I suggest you look this video up because Gordon Hayward's barber is hilarious. Like,
sure.
He's got this giant long mane and a goofy mustache. He wears a bad vest. It's entertaining. But I just want to ask, like, who brainstorming some players in the NBA who, some little makeover, whether a haircut, trim the eyebrows. I'm not talking about Anthony Davis, but like some little cosmetic change could be the naughty to the hottie for these guys.
Sure.
Anyone have someone want to go first?
Yeah, I'll jump in. For me, as of active players in the NBA, it's Joe Noah. I mean, he needs to clean up the hair. It looks like his skin is really bad too. The facial hair is kind of patched all over the place. He definitely needs a makeover. And of course, I mean, there's a little gap in his teeth. I mean, I know I'm crapping on this guy right now.
I like that gap. That gap looks good,
I mean,
man.
there's a lot of like high fashion models have a gap too.
Yeah, no, that gap. I like Joakim's
I'm sorry,
style.
it doesn't work for him.
He does look like He
got
looks like a
super hot
6'11"
wife.
version of like Fievel, the little mouse cartoon,
Sure.
An American Tail.
He has a little Cal Drogo in him as well. No, I like the Joakim look, man. No, I have to disagree with you on that one, Chris.
Well, okay,
Here's
and
my
I'll throw
pick,
another
man.
one out there, from someone who obviously not really an NBA star anymore or ever was a star, but Chris Kaman, just that hair was really thin.
Oh, that's the
weird,
choice.
and
No, that's
Take
the
it, just-
choice.
He needs to I don't know what he was supposed to do, but someone needs to help him out in any way possible.
No,
I mean, he
that's
looked
a
like
good
Leatherface for a hot
Yes.
minute. Like,
Yes.
Kaman needs a makeover big time, man. That's a song. He had that Karolinko hair too. That Karolinko towards the latter part, he had that weird hair. Oh, man, it was awful.
Man,
my choice is Anthony Davis. And I know when we think about Anthony, we think the eyebrows, but it's not. It's the teeth. If you ever look it up, there is something going on over there for a guy who got $170 million or whatever kind of contract he signed. He needs to work on some of that teeth, boy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is where we say that Google it because. He can afford the braces. Come on, Anthony. Let's get working on the teeth. Get a little makeover there. You're a superstar now. Come on.
Well,
you got one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's. I mean, the way you look at him, he fits the team. The way he is, everything about him just fits the team, his team perfectly. But I mean, if I was Kawhi Leonard, I would do something about that hair. I mean, it's
Dated.
It's a little bit of a throwback. I understand that. I totally get it. But I think it's time to change it up a little bit. I
agree.
Even his fashion sense a little bit. He can work on that.
But that's the Spurs,
But
man.
that's why.
Spurs, right?
But
You know,
that's why I said
Tim Duncan is taking him to his LL
Yeah,
Bean
they have a bunch of guys.
catalog.
It kind of works because he's with the Spurs. It kind of works, but
freaking makeover.
Yeah.
No, it's a good point though because Kawhi Leonard is emerging as a true superstar in the league, and if he he shows up at next year's preseason with just a tight fade and a little goatee, and all of a sudden he looks like Morris Chestnut out of some movie.
Right, I think Kawhi, because he is your great point, because he is a superstar now, he can change the hair. It's like if James Harden shaves that beard off, it's just going to look a little bit
back
weird.
To your point, Mo, don't change that beard. He is another one with horrible teeth. Horrible teeth. Go Google that, guys. You want to say Google James Harden's teeth, you'll pass out.
Well, all right. I want to give credit to some guy for recognizing that he had an issue and addressing it. And I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier in the year, but Andre Drummond for a long while had this really disturbing shoulder hair, just patches of hair right on the front of his shoulders, and
I gotta look this up, man.
I mean,
I didn't
you would
know
go.
that.
Early on, look up some early photos, and they were I remember the first game of the season. I was watching a Pistons game, so I looked at it, I was like, he's shooting free throws, and there's it's just not on his back, nothing on his back, just his shoulders. And
So it's like the armpit hair went on top, instead of inside the pits.
And so I searched for on Twitter if other people were noticing it, and the tweets were so mean. It was how'd Andre Drummond get all the taco meat on his shoulders? It was just brutal. But he, at some point in time in the season, he took it off, and he looks normal, great now. So yeah, exactly. It's that easy.
At it now. Yeah, it's chest hair that has kind of
it's got,
spread over to the
little
shoulders.
curly
It's
buckshots on his shoulder. It's
very
crazy.
odd. All right. Well, thank you, Ray, for the overtime, and I got to thank you for being here tonight, subbing in for Brad. We appreciate it very much, sir. Again, I know Rafe. You're well respected. In the media circles. Your book was just fantastic. I know you got to come. We talked about this last time. You got another book that you're finishing up right now as well. A lot of people, of course, know you for being an editor in Grantland, and just to have you on the show, man, real treat for us. We appreciate it.
I mean, anytime. It's an honor to be here. I have a blast.
All right, where can people find you on Twitter, Instagram, all that good
stuff?
Sure.
It's at Rafe Boogs, RAFEBOOGS, and my Instagram handle, because it is so popular, is once again the nickname that I got while hanging around a PBA team. My full name is Rafael, and so they called me Chupaeng, Tio Paeng, TIYOP.
You guys want to know what that means in Filipino?
What does it mean?
Maybe we should do that off air.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's all
you
good.
guys,
yeah.
you can't do that to me, but okay.
Yeah, we'll tell you off air. Gino, in Philippines, what do you got?
It's JINNORUFINO. That's on Twitter and on Instagram.
All right, Chris.
As always, is at Not Bill Walton. And if you can't decide what to watch between Kobe's last game and the Warriors going for 73, you could follow my Twitter feed, and I'll be live tweeting a local junior college women's lacrosse game. So that'll be exciting.
Lovely. Can't wait. It's DJ Mo Twister on Instagram and on Twitter. We'll see you again for our next episode. I think Brad should be back for that. In the meantime, thank you to the staff for helping us out, of course, as you do all the time with great technical work. I want to thank the people who listen to our show, interact with us on at Full Court Report on Twitter. Keep downloading, keep sharing with your friends, and we'll see you on our next episode. Thanks, Rafe, again, for being here. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.